Hey friends, welcome to this week's episode of Not Your Mommas Podcast. And today's special guest is Dr. Elliot Justin, the CEO and founder of FirmTech, the innovative company behind the TechRing, which is revolutionizing the way we understand and improve male sexual health. With over 40 years of medical expertise, Dr. Elliot is here to share his insights on sexual and cardiovascular health. Dr. Elliot, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and that's 40 years, not 4 years.
Oh, 40 years. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. I'm sorry for mispronouncing that. But,
No problem.
I think it's really important that we talk about this because dads, men, we need strong men in this world, and we need our fathers healthy, we need our sons healthy, and everyone healthy. So, what are some vital signs of the sexual health, and how can people keep them in check?
Sure. Well, the vital signs of sexual health are in two areas. One is overnight. A man should have 3 to 5 nocturnal erections, and they should in total last for over an hour.
Yeah.
Now, we all know about morning wood, and we laugh about it, but morning wood is not enough. And the number of nocturnal erections that we have, men that is, and by the way, women have them as well too. And we are developing. We have tested already a device for women to count the episodes of nocturnal arousal, nocturnal erections. It's going to be the same for women as it is in men, but we're focusing on men right now.
Yeah.
So a man should have 3 to 5 per night, and if that number goes down, there's a problem. Now, if that number goes down by 50%, that man has a more than 50% chance of having a heart attack in the next 2 or 3 years, or a stroke. Now, in healthcare, in medicine, we treat associations. We don't lead indicators predictive. By associations, I mean, well, half the adult population, male and female, has high blood pressure, for example. High blood pressure doesn't predict that you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke, whereas declined number of nocturnal erections does. So getting this data is of vital importance. So that's overnight. But during sex, a healthy man should have an erection as hard as he was when he was 13 or 14 years old. Changes for men as they get older is the ability to sustain the erection, but not to get really hard. So if a man has difficulty sustaining an erection or attaining an erection, that man, more likely than not, if they're younger, they have significant forms of anxiety. If they're older, they have diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis, or a significant medication reaction. So the big, I call them the cock and clit killing drugs, are antihypertensives and antidepressants. And the vast majority of men and women over the age of 50 are taking one, if not both of those, as well as having diabetes. So those are the vital signs. The number of nocturnal erections overnight, how long they last, and how hard a man is when he's trying to have sex, and is he able to sustain the erection?
So
now, just want to make one other point.
Yeah.
Go.
No, go. Make your
one other point. You and I are different genders. We're different ages. I'm 71. You look like about 25. And if both of us went to a doctor right now and said, "Gee, you want to exercise? My heart races, and I feel like I'm going to pass out," and they just felt our pulse and said, "Hey, Christina and Elliot, your pulse is racing. You're right. You're a problem. Take this pill and come back in 3 months." We would think, WTF? Is this like 1900? I want a CT angiogram. I want an electrocardiogram. Or a blood pressure check. You're not getting any blood tests. But when it comes to men's and women's sexual health, and if you go to a urologist or a gynecologist, they have nothing other than speculations and opinions. They have no way of until now objectively testing what's going on.
Yeah. So from my understanding, it doesn't matter the age. You should always be able to have an erection for sexual. It's just a matter of like if it's able to stay up. And what does it mean again if it's not able to stay up during sex? Yes, you kind of mentioned maybe someone has like anxiety. There's things like maybe going on mentally, but what does that mean again?
Sure. Well, especially if a man is over the age of 45 or 50, in other words, moving to the cardiovascular risk age, that man has a cardiovascular or medication side effect until proven otherwise. Now, obviously, performance anxiety is a factor, as is alcohol, marijuana, recreational drug use, etc. These are all factors that play into it. But a healthy man should be able to sustain an erection. I mean, maybe even we've got men, and this surprised me with my involvement in the company. I've got men in their 80s are having sex with their wives, enjoying it. And we all want to have a long life of lovemaking, don't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, sex makes you live longer, keeps you healthy. It releases a lot of like endorphins and things in our body that we need. And I remember, I forget who it was, but it was a woman in a clip. She's saying, you don't need to take in like depression pills, just have sex. You know?
Well, she's right.
Like it really like helps you feel more happy about yourself and just like there's so many
Well,
benefits.
Christine, you're making a great point, and I'll reiterate with three research studies, three research points rather. Men and I'm speaking about men right now. Men who have sex every day have half the cortisol levels, stress hormone levels of men who have sex twice a month. It's probably the same thing for women as well too.
Yeah.
Men over the age of 75, it's a big study out of the United Kingdom, who have sex twice a week cut their cardiovascular risk in half. Now they're going to die anyway, but that's a significant decrease. And finally, men and women who have sex twice a week versus twice a month have half the divorce rate. So with this, we have a huge problem in the United States and elsewhere in the world with divorce and the impact of that on people's mental health, cardiovascular health, the health of their children, the well-being of their children, crime, education. And if we could just cut the divorce rate by having more sex,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be great? And we doctors are assholes. We don't talk about sex. We make all sorts of recommendations about diet, exercise, sleep. You ever go to a doctor and have the doctor tell you, Christina, how often are you having sex? Or me, I had Elliot, how
Yeah,
often are you having sex?
never.
How's your marriage? Never, zero. And I'm 71 years old. My wife's in the room right now with me. She's working. Neither one of us ever had a doctor tell us about the sexual side effects of medication or ask us about the status of our primary relationship. In this case,
Mhm.
in this case, our marriage. And we doctors are failing people. And the reason is both prudishness, but also money. There's no box in the electronic health record that says, ask these questions about someone's sexual health. If Christina, if you or I, with different ages, different genders again, but if we both went to a doctor and said, gee, I've got chest pain, they get a string of 12 questions, maybe more, that recommend to ask, and they'd be told what to rule out. Hey, you got to rule out pulmonary embolus. You have to rule out heart attack. If I go to a doctor and say, gee, I have trouble getting it up, there's no box, there's no questions you have to ask. So he doesn't make any money by asking me questions. That doctor will just give me a pill.
Yeah.
And if you just give a guy Viagra or Cialis at 30 years old, okay, there's no risk of masking a problem. But if you're going to give a man my age, or someone 50 years old, or even 40 years old, a pill before ruling out cardiovascular disease, diabetes, a whole series of other things that could be medication side effects, you are doing that patient a disservice.
Exactly. Well, I feel like in our culture in Western society, and especially in medicine, it's just all about a pill. A pill's going to solve the problems. It's almost kind of like natural medicine is like honky wonky stuff and kind of looked down upon. But it does have its like place, and I do believe in that. And I feel that also I feel like it's not talked about because they're trying to decrease even like a man's fertility, and being able, you know what I mean? Like the fertility levels have been really going down, which means that their
Shocking.
testosterone levels are going down because they're not producing as much sperm or whatever it is that's going on. And that's making them like infertile. And, it's also happening with women too, on a different level, because obviously our organs are different and our bodies respond differently. But, there's also that huge crisis too, which kind of could bring down, I would think, like a man's sex drive, right?
Well, it's the frequency of sex is down. It's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, and as to whether this is due to increasing incidence of hypertension, diabetes, obesity, or whether it's due, as many think, and I think there's something to this, whether it's due to endocrine inhibitors in our diet, specifically plastics that we
Yeah.
inject.
I think it's
I
diet.
mean
I
that
think it's culture. Yeah, I definitely think it's diet for sure. And we're also just zombies to like everything that like is put in front of us when it
social
touches our
media.
screens, our TVs, our iPads. It's connected to our watches. Yeah. And porn. Porn too is like a big thing as well. When you think about it, like a lot of men even have a hard time getting arousals with a real woman because they're so addicted to porn and stuff. So it's like there's a huge crisis in that. And then they have this expectation for women to have to be a certain thing that they see. It's not real life sex sometimes. So it's like we have all these
Well, I
factors
have to stop there a second.
Okay, sorry.
Women have the same issues as well. I mean, women watch 40% of the porn that's watched
Yeah,
is
I
watched by
mean, I'm
women.
not saying
That's
women
huge.
aren't guilty either, but it's a
Let me
huge
let me
societal
let me let me,
problem.
let me tell you an anecdote. I have 3 kids. They're all grown up and gone right now.
Yeah.
But it was an episode. I'm a really good cook. And my daughter, when she was junior year, had a bunch of her girlfriends over, and they were talking about sex. And they were complaining that the boys at Bozeman High School have penises that are just too small. Now, so I said, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, when they're watching porn. And I pointed out to them, well, the boys at Bozeman High School probably think that you girls have breasts that are too small. You're all watching porn. And that's, porn, I think porn is a problem. I don't mean to diminish it, but it's not, I think it's, on the hand, porn does provide people with an outlet.
Yeah,
People
it
don't know how
does.
to, yeah,
I
people
mean,
don't know how to
it does.
communicate anymore either.
Yeah, I'm not
Uh,
not like knocking it. I just know that now that like things are just so much more accessible and you can have anything you want at the palm of your hands. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like any fetish you want to see, anything.
The male complaint about women is that women spend all their time shopping online. So people like to say that porn built the web, and it did, but it's shopping that sustains it. And women spend 4 times as much shopping as men spend watching porn. That's an astounding number.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
guess what you're getting at, Christine, is that men and women don't have to talk to each other anymore.
pretty much, exactly. It's like totally men are from Mars and women are from Venus more than ever.
Yeah, it's it's, it's sad. I don't know really what can be done about it, but I do know that if people would make love more, they'd be happier and healthier.
Yeah. So, real quick, wearing the wearable tech ring, like why is that an effective tool for monitoring and improving overall health? Let's dive into that.
Sure. Well, it's the equivalent of like an electrocardiogram, stress test, blood pressure for your sexual health. So that's really important. So if we're wearing the device overnight or during sex, men and the healthcare providers can then get data that can change their lives. And we've had 2 men get cardiac catheterizations as a result of the declined data, and we've had 2 men with significant adrenal problems also get them diagnosed early. You want to figure out what's going on before it becomes obvious down there. So men are using our device to monitor testosterone therapy. What's the right dose? Is it working? Men are using our device to monitor shockwave therapy. Is it going to work for me? Or am I just going to waste $12,000? Men, and I've done this myself too, I can measure the impact of hypertensive medication upon my sexual performance before it becomes a problem. Men can also benefit from cock rings as a sexual aid. So vibrators in my lifetime have gone mainstream. My mother's vibrator was stashed away in the bottom dresser drawer of the supply closet. She probably thought we'd never find it. Of course we did. Didn't know what it was. I don't know how many vibrators my wife owns because she wants different vibrators at different parts of sex fun. And my daughter takes them on dates. So back in the 70s or 80s, before you were born, there was a certain shame for a woman using a vibrator. You have to come through penetration, et cetera, et cetera. And that's gone away for the best. When it comes to cock rings for straight men, not gay men, but for straight men, there's an inhibition about using a cock ring. And so 2 problems there. Men need to overcome their inhibitions about cock rings. Until our devices, cock rings are hard, uncomfortable things you only wear for like 20, 30 minutes, and they did not enhance pleasure at all. In order to count the number of nocturnal erections, we had to reinvent the cock ring. So our cock ring is not made of silicone, they're made of soft elastomer, and they don't block the arterial flow in. So they can be worn for long sex sessions, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 90 minutes. They'll help men to last longer and make his orgasm more intense because they're putting the right amount of pressure over the urethra to prolong the ejaculation by about 50% in most men. So that's a game changer for men. And my wife and I make love about 50% longer and with more confidence. And we hear this from many of our customers too. If a man's not afraid of losing his erection, whether he has performance anxiety or he's just an older man like me who's just can't sustain erection as long as it could beforehand. The solution is a mechanical solution to hold the blood in the penis. Men and the doctors are thinking PDE5 medications, Viagra, Cialis. They put blood in, but most men's problem is not putting blood in. Most men's problem is keeping blood there, because as we get older, the smooth muscles that constrict our small veins in our penis, or the clitoris for that matter, and hold the blood in, they get weaker. If I sit on a plane for 5-6 hours, my ankles will swell up a little bit. My rings will get tight. The same thing's happening as a man gets older. These small muscles and veins are getting weaker with age, and we need mechanical help. So we have data showing that a ring will keep a man several minutes harder than a PD5 medication, and that data will be published in the fall. And I'm confident that in the very near future, the data will become the standard of care for urology. If a man will not be able to get his ED treated without getting data, because that's how we treat blood pressure, that's how we treat cardiac arrhythmias, that's how we treat kidney failure. And now we're filling in this black box of sex. We now have data for that. But also, if a man wants to last longer, be more confident, have more intense orgasm, and the partners like that as well too. I mean, I wasn't thinking about making a better cock ring when I got involved in this. I just think about the data, but then I realized I could also make a better cock ring. My ejaculatory phase goes from and this I'm talking myself, because we have other men. We have hundreds of testimonials.
Yeah.
My ejaculatory phase goes from 4 seconds to 7 seconds. I'm loud for the first time. My wife says she's glad the kids are out of the house because I'm noisy. and that's more fun for her as well too. Plus, you're young. Maybe you don't understand this yet. When you get
I'm
older,
37, by the way. I'm not that.
You look a lot younger than that. There's a certain rush to orgasm. Hey, we're both turned on. Get the vibrator. Get this position. If a man and his partner, male or female, more confident, he's going to be able to keep it up for 30, 40, 50 minutes, that whole rush to orgasm goes away. It's a much more intimate, romantic bonding experience when there's no pressure.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Well, Dr. Elliot, it is time for the Power Mom Chronicles segment, and I cannot wait to dive into your answers. So my first one is, what's a game-changing lesson life has taught you?
Wow, there's so many game-changing lessons life has taught me. I guess things often occur providentially. We spend a lot of time trying to plan our lives. I'm a doctor. You get into medical school. You study hard. You got to take tests. But almost all the good things in life have come to me providentially. Whether it's meeting my wife I hadn't seen her in 11 years. We didn't recognize each other. There was the third person there who knew my wife. She would have just walked past me on the street after 11 years. She came to me at just the right moment. I had broken up with a whole bunch of girlfriends, and I wanted to live honorably. And then she comes along. That was providential. We're married 36 years, and we're happy. The same thing with FirmTech. I wasn't thinking at all about erectile dysfunction. I was working on a catheter to help men who have had stroke. And this doctor pitched this to me, and I listened and jumped on it, because these things come providentially without great things life, without planning.
Yeah. Divine universe working in its divine timing.
Yes.
And reflecting on your journey, what practical lessons or insights can our listeners apply to improve their own lives?
I'll talk about a successful marriage. You have to plan for pleasure. Things don't happen spontaneously. If you fall out of the practice and the joy of making love, because you got kids, you got work, you're moving, there are stresses, the quality of a marriage will suffer. Christine, if you were coming for dinner tonight, I wouldn't look in the refrigerator and say, "Oh, what's here to cook? Here's some leftover rotisserie chicken. Let's throw some ketchup on it." No, I would plan a meal. Well, people need to approach their lovemaking the same way. I'm not saying you need a whiteboard like if you go to the gym, but people need to plan for pleasure and plan for intimacy, and not let excuses like children and work get in the way.
Yeah, totally. And then offer a piece of wisdom for moms, dads, anyone really striving to find their strength and voice.
Speak your mind. People are not to be gamed. It's better to be candid and fight than to keep it in and suffer.
Perfect. And the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I ever received was probably from my father. I was thinking about this would be back during the Cold War. I majored in Slavic language and literature. And I was thinking about becoming a spy or going to the military. And my dad said, "You can't follow orders. You're not gonna like that. Become a doctor. You will always have the dignity of taking care of people, and you'll have mobility." And that was great advice.
I love it. Well, what a great way to end this week's episode of Not Your Mommas Podcast. All of Dr. Elliot's links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Go say hi. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you all in the next one.
Thanks so much.